Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Born to Be Wild Listener Series, Season 5, Week 1. I'm very excited to get started on this brand new season. We've got a lot of new things in store this time around. I'm joined tonight by my good friend Hydralisk from the podcast. Hey, long time no see. And behind the scenes, Blue Train, my good friend Blue Train, is joining us tonight to help cast these matches. So, Blue, welcome back. I should say welcome to casting. I don't think you've done this before. I didn't realize, but really happy to have you.
Great to be here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Blue Train.
So getting right into things, a couple of housekeeping matters that I wanted to share with everyone before we get started. So what is the Born to Be Wild Listener Series? For those of you not familiar, the Born to Be Wild Listener Series is a wild Hearthstone tournament series with custom deck building restrictions each week. This series is played in the Conquest format. For the Conquest format, each week players submit 4 decks consisting of separate classes. Classes and deck lists are hidden until after the weekly submission deadline. Once classes and deck lists are revealed, players have an opportunity to review and ban one of their opponent's decks. Ban selections are hidden until both players have submitted their bans, at which time they are revealed. In the Conquest format, when a player wins with a deck, that player must then move on to a different deck. The losing player may switch decks, but they're not required to do so. The victor is the first player to win matches with all 3 of their decks. So the super quick recap is bring 4, ban 1. You got to win with all 3. One thing that we're doing differently this time around is that there is a lore component built into this season, which is really fun. So we are on week 1 telling the tale of the voyage to the sunken city. So this is week 1 and the theme is the old gods. And here is the lore behind this week's challenge.
Embodiments of chaos and corruption, the old gods plummeted to Azeroth from the great dark beyond and embedded themselves into its crust. While the elemental lords attempted to resist, they were no match for the old gods' power and succumbed to their terrible will. When the Titans discovered Azeroth, they saw the old gods had embedded themselves too deeply within the world's surface to be removed without destroying the planet, so they decided to imprison them below the surface, where for millennia they lay dormant.
Thank you so much to our lore master, Goliath the Dwarf, for help with the behind-the-scenes story here. So yes, the focus of week 1 is the old gods and the theme of being dormant. So something that we're doing differently with this season is instead of 1 weekly challenge, there are 2. And so the challenges for week 1, the primary challenge is that each deck must contain at least 8 dormant cards, meaning the card must contain the dormant keyword somewhere on it. The secondary challenge is that all cards in each deck must be from one of the following sets: Whispers of the Old Gods, Madness at the Darkmoon Fair and the associated mini-set, Ashes of Outland, Demon Hunter Initiate, Voyage to the Sunken City, and the Legacy and Core sets. So our opponents, our challengers here must, they've got to meet both deck building restrictions here. So in these decks, when you look at this and wonder like, wow, these are some cards, pile of cards here, it's because they've got to comply with both challenges. So 8 dormant cards, and they've got to be from these sets here. And then one final note for anyone that is watching along with us. So what to expect on the screen: players are represented by avatars, and decks are represented by their class icons. These class icons may look a little bit different. You may recognize them. They're from the class-specific packs. We pulled the icons right off of there. Banned decks are marked with a red X. Winning decks are marked with a green check. So the green check indicates that the player has won with this class or deck, and they are done with it. The banned class means that it cannot be played. And before we get started, I want to take a quick look at what decks our players brought. So first up, I'm going to pull up DoctorBOMD, who brought Paladin, Warlock, Warrior, and Hunter. SchmoopieDaddy banned the Warlock. So looking at the Paladin over here, it looks like there's some Libram cards here. On the top end, I've got Librams of Hope, Garden's Grace. The Leviathan is our new Colossal minion over here, and a handful of other Libram cards, along with the new legendary Katori Lightblade. quickly looking over here at the warrior list again, there are the requirement of dormant cards, so you are going to see those. But I do see a little bit of spice. There's From the Depths over here. I've got Ambassador Phelan, and I've got Nelly on the top end, which looks pretty fun. And the hunter list over here. Again, it looks like some spice over here. I've got Maev to meet the dormant requirement. On the top end, I've got the Trampling Rhino and Call of the Wild.
Call of the Wild, 2 ofs at the end. I like that.
Hey, I love it. I love it. This is wonderful. So, I'm excited, and I haven't had a great chance to really like dive into the deck list too much, but I'm excited. We've got really a couple of really great players here. And then quickly looking over...
Schmoopie made a good choice banning the Warlock here. Looking at the cards in that deck, they synergize, and Gigafin on the top end is very strong, particularly in a limited challenge like this. So it'll be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then briefly looking at Schmoopie's decks over here. Schmoopie brought Warlock, Warrior, Demon Hunter, and Shaman. And DoctorBOMD banned the Warrior. It was kind of a menagerie Rush Warrior, which also seems like a pretty good ban to me. The Warlock is a Murloc Warlock with Gigafin on the top end. It is similar to what DoctorBOMD had brought. There's a Demon Hunter build over here. And actually pretty interesting because of the dormant requirement. There's 2 copies of Imprison Antian, which deals 10 damage when it wakes up, which is a little bit scary. Yeah. There's an Il'gynoth and a Moarg Artificer, so there's some spice over here. And then the Shaman,
looks like it's like a totem style shaman, right?
It does. It's got Grand Totem Eyesore. There's Manatide totems. We've got Totemic Reflection, and then the Thing from Below as well on the top end. Some of the new cards as well. Anchored Totem is in here, which I've not had a chance to play yet. So looking forward to checking this out. I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And I think Warrior is also a good choice to ban. Nelly on the top end, may as well read. Put a smite in your hand. That costs 1, and that is also scary. So it's really nice that the Colossals are going to have their time to shine. So looking forward to the match.
They're going. All right, then I've got probably a spectate bug over here. Let's jump into our game and love these spectate bugs. But all right, here we go. All right, looks like we are going. So SchmoopieDaddy on the bottom with the Warlock, and DoctorBOMD on the top with the Libram Paladin over here.
So I'm excited to see the Warlock first. This is the deck that immediately caught my eye. For those who know me, I'm a big fan of the tribal synergy decks. This seems like a pretty strong contender.
Some interesting choices here.
Yeah,
and
Schmoop.
Oh, I was just gonna say, when we first saw these new cards come out, kind of thinking that Murloc Warlock was a bit of a meme, but actually seeing it in action, I think it'll be a lot of fun to see how it plays out. And this, like a limited format, seems like a good place to do that.
It was a bit of a meme. Most of them got buffed, and I wonder if this deck was put together prior to the buff, since they just got released yesterday, and I wonder how that's changed the calculus. Clearly it scared SchmoopieDaddy into banning it, but I have to think that they built their lineups prior to the buffs being announced, and the Murloc buffs were a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, actually, you're correct. Deck building submissions were due Tuesday night. Tuesday by 11:59 p.m. and it's now Friday, and so yeah, these were submitted pre-nerf. It put us at a weird position because we weren't sure what was going to happen, and they didn't want to release the nerf announcements until the day of.
Right.
The timing of it all was a little funky, yeah.
The Libram deck shouldn't be counted out either. Librams have always been strong, and this deck tops up with the Leviathan as well, which I've played a lot of, and it is, it is a strong card. So, I think that both decks have game. But that Gigafin swing, you know, if DoctorBOMD kind of builds a big board of Librams and then Gigafin just swallows the whole thing whole, it can just close the game on the spot. I think that Schmoopie's going to be digging for that Gigafin because the game's going to go long, and that's going to be his game plan.
Well, and yeah, it makes me wonder also. I think that this Mutinous in hand might actually put in some work if it ends up eating a... Well, it could go either way. You know, it could eat a Leviathan, or, you know, it could eat a... it could eat a one-attack Dormant minion, or one-mana Dormant minion. I have to give Schmoopie theme credit for choosing the N'Zoth portrait as well.
So the Rush Murloc comes down, and that's one that's really good to buff. So with Chum Buckets. So the fact that Schmoopie felt compelled to play that at this stage in the game means that Schmoopie's probably feeling a bit on the back foot. Schmoopie's got a lot of good cards, but the problem is getting them to stick. So it'll be interesting to see. Oh, there we go. We got another copy of the Rusher. So that's good. But yeah, DoctorBOMD really doing a good job at gripping this board. And down comes the Leviathan, which is huge. The rush, the dredge, and the draw is just so strong.
Yeah. I almost wonder if we see like Maiev come down and temporarily shut one of them down.
Oh wow! So Schmoopie's opting to play Mutinous, which is tough because this is a pretty wide board.
Oh, and wait, what did it eat? It ate Lady Liadrin. Wow! Of all the things that it could have picked, it dodged the two and 3 mana Dormant minions. So. What a pull.
I don't think it's gonna matter though. We're really on the Gigafin or bust train right now.
Yeah, I think so. That is quite a large board. By the way, Hydra will be back momentarily. His internet lost internet connection. He'll be right back.
Oh, Canadian internet. You know how that goes. And just the fact that DoctorBOMD is getting such a repeat value off of that Leviathan. I don't think that even with Mutinous, with Gigafin, we're going to come back. But it looks like DoctorBOMD is going to comfortably take game one with his Smork Paladin. Maybe we overestimated the power of Murloc Warlock.
Hey, there we go. So that's a game. Yeah, game number one off to DoctorBOMD. While they're queuing up the next one, I'll look at those decks real quick.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of excited to see this Totem Shaman. It's kind of spicy. Grand Totem Eyesore was one of those cards that when it got released, I was really excited, but never really got a chance to play it.
Yeah, I never got around to it too, and unfortunately, that's one of the difficult things about Wild is like the meta gets so polarized. And games are over so quickly that, you know, you really kind of got to go all or nothing. And the funner cards, or the more fun cards, often don't really see play. And so I'm really excited to see some of the new Totem stuff. Should be fun. Wow, and looking at DoctorBOMD's hand here, he does have the Omega combo. Of Phelan into Finley.
Corsair Cash is always welcome sight in the early game to tutor that weapon and boost it.
What a fun matchup. This actually it's going to be a very interesting one here.
So now that weapon would have been really good to clean up that Manatide Totem, but with the Taunt Totem roll, we're going to get some value off that Manatide Totem. That's pretty huge. So it looks like DoctorBOMD's going to opt to start going for the mana cheat value from the depths. Very surprised that card dodged the nerf. I think it was thought that in Standard this Control Warrior deck would see less play with the meta shakeup. And I guess that will remain to be seen. But yeah, Dr. Bomb has some pretty scary value bombs in his hand with Nelly and Ambassador Phelan.
Yeah, and I was thinking he's debating on whether he wants to Finley, like coin Finley right now, right? To perhaps get these cards that he just reduced. Yeah.
And he does. He was probably debating if he wanted to Giga Greed it with the Ambassador, but I think this is probably correct. The mana sheet swings so huge.
That sound effect is so funny. Hey, welcome back, Hydra.
Yeah, my spectator is totally messed up. It's every time I reload, it's frozen. So we'll just go with your commentary.
I am sharing my screen in Discord if you want to watch it that way.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'm just gonna exit.
That's what I'm doing.
This board from Schmoopie can get out of control very quickly. And one thing I noticed in the practice matches is that this surprisingly this little rush Murloc with the poison is super annoying to deal with.
Yeah. I mean it's a card.
Dr. Bomb has that brawl though, and I think that what we're gonna see is with the discounted threats and the brawl, I think we might see a repeat of last game where Dr. Bomb grips the board and Schmoopie may not be able to take it back. But with a narrow storm crash, maybe my hypothesis is premature. Down comes the eyesore. We wanted to see it. It is here. It's kind of spooky. Probably gonna die from the poison, but not before getting a tick off.
And what is hold on? What does this do here? At the end of your turn, give +1/+1 to all other totems in your hand. All right, think from below is not a totem. All right, copy that. So, but this is gonna be quite spicy. Although that's a 2-mana brawl over here, and actually the brawl Magtheridon combo is kind of interesting as well. Yeah, there was a couple of choices Dr. Bomb could have done. He had the reduction in Finley, or he could have Phelan in Finley, and it was like, well, you know, do you want to play for greed or do you want to play for tempo? I do think that, you know, part of me wonders, is he waiting for, you know, trying to bait Schmoopie into building a really big board over here, so that he can brawl it down.
Yeah.
And Schmoopie's holding a lot of cards in his hand, actually, which has got to be kind of a scary thing for a more controlly warrior.
Doomhammer and Stormstrike gives him reach also. So I think that, unlike his last deck, this one has some burst. So, but this is a bit of an oof here.
Let's see what die. Oh, yeah.
One survives.
But you can clean it up with the trident.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's gonna be a big old dude on the board.
Yep. But maybe that poison will come online in time to clean it up. Fingers crossed.
I mean, Schmoopie's got 2 of these little poison Murlocs. He's gonna probably take 12 to the dome right now, though.
Yeah.
Playing 2 for insurance.
Wow.
Scorched in Flame, a very common card in Standard. Pretty good warrior card draw card, actually, for these slower, grindier matchups.
Wow, and so it looks like this, and we might see next turn Bran into the teacher.
Those sounds are so funny.
They're great, right?
Job's done.
Oh snap! I didn't realize that they buffed the totems.
Whoa. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But the Pelican will clean it up nicely, but it does save his totem. which is pretty sweet. And as you predicted, Nate, here's the school teacher, which is one of the wonderful new cards. And there's a lot of good choices in Warrior. Coerce is good. Slam could be alright. I have to imagine it's going to be Coerce. Less choice here. Probably going to go for... Oh, I didn't see what he took.
It's hard to tell. Let's see if we can... One was Information, and the other one is Slam.
Oh, he took a Slam in the end instead of Coerce. Alright, makes fine sense.
Yeah, get rid of that Poison Murloc.
That poison is a little
Keeps our
scary.
Bran alive.
Ooh. The Piranha Swarmers will probably clean up. Shmooie has a few options to clean up here. He can also play the Doomhammer and the Storm Strike. But he's going to go for Schooling, which is probably smart. Go for the Rushers. This is like the mediocre special Piranha Swarmers. Wow, between that and the Anchor, like, I'm going to clean up. So,
That's some major synergy, yeah, wow.
yeah, Brawl's gonna probably do a nice nice job here. But, oh, Brawl's gonna, excuse me, punish pretty hard. I mean, Shmoopie's trying to keep his big board to clean up. Brawl's just gonna equalize things once again.
Yeah, and
Predictably,
unfortunately,
there comes the Brawl.
I don't think you can play around it, though, right? Especially at 8 health.
No. And, although perhaps committing the Storm Strike along with the Piranhas was maybe leaning in a bit too much, but I mean, it's hard to say. Now most of SchmoopieDaddy's damage is going to have to come from hand. The Doomhammer is going to be an important tool.
Please choose Explore Ungoro.
No!
What did he do?
Doubt it.
I
know a guy.
I know a guy.
There is Eyesore again. And, maybe it survives a second turn? Does it ever survive a second turn?
It could.
Bladestorm won't do it. Come on, let's... No, Sword and Board and Bladestorm will do it. I mean, DoctorBOMD couldn't let it live. The value from this Warrior deck is kind of obscene.
Wow, and look at those 2 cards against an aggro deck. The Light Shower Elemental and the Lich King. Imagine he probably selects the Brawler, yeah. I feel bad for Shmoopie here. I mean, this is he's getting bullied over here.
Yeah, those minions are gonna do a really good job at closing out. The Lich King especially will be hard to deal with. The Piranha Swarm's kind of gonna... Probably would have been needed to clear those big boys, but Shmoopie doesn't have any way of knowing that you know...
No, is that the Golden Shower one we got coming?
Yes.
Yeah. That's just rude.
Big PP rental. Perhaps off the Amalgam, we might get something of note, but with totems, it's not really... It's not as definitive. Although, wow, that was a nice top deck. More draw and potentially
out
some minions that might stick. Yeah.
Hey,
Also,
he high
this
rolled the
isn't looking
taunt.
so bad. Yeah, the taunt, the 2 mana tides, not so terrible.
Oh, looking for...
Opting for Beast.
The poison one. What's the Bloatbat? Is that...
I guess they're more interesting beasts than totems.
Oh, no, that's it.
Yeah.
RIP! GG's, Dr. BOMD and Schmoopie. So that is game 1 to Dr. BOMD.
All right. Al is currently 2-0.
Yeah, getting first game the board decisively, and in the second game using his value to swing it back. Pretty solid control warrior there. And now we're gonna see the hunter,
Right?
which frankly is
Yes.
the most suspect of the four. Although Trampling Rhino and Call the Wild are still good cards, so and Schmoopie's opting to bring the Demon Hunter. So we are going to get to see all of Schmoopie's decks, even if he gets swept. Although let's hope that's not the case. With I-Beam and the Diver and double Acrobatics, a pretty strong start. Og Merchant on 1 from DoctorBOMD. Not what you want, but better than nothing. It looks like there's some decent tools here. That Trampling Rhino is always scary.
It is.
We played a lot of that in our Face Hunter days.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, there's the big boy.
Right? I actually think that this Demon Hunters, it feels pretty strong to me.
Certainly with these cards, it's looking pretty good.
I should say, in this limited series with the restrictions,
Yeah.
Naga's Pride was a good play, but we're gonna clean up nicely with I-Beam and our Rusher.
Yeah. Well, I imagine we
I
play
have
the
to
one on the
imagine
right,
we're
right?
seeing the I-Beam on the far right, but we're gonna opt to draw instead.
There's plenty of life gain in this deck, so I don't think that SchmoopieDaddy is too worried about taking a little bit of damage, and then
I guess not too afraid of the 2/2.
well, and pulling Chaos Nova also is pretty much a board clear.
Yeah, but that wasn't guaranteed as a draw. I like playing the I-Beam on the far right of his hand because like it will be a long time before we outcast that. But I mean, perhaps baiting the wide board will end up being of value here because we're gonna get our Dormant down, which is huge. And between that and Chaos Nova, it's gonna be really hard for DoctorBOMD to kind of take the board. He's not going to want to overextend, so he'll be able to maybe nail the reload with the Chaos Nova, but still going to be taking 7 damage in the process with the hero power, the Hunter hero power, and the Rhino. Kind of spooky. Kind of leaning in a little bit here.
Yeah. Well, it seems like smart play from DoctorBOMD to not overextend the board, and
he's got a good enough board that he doesn't have to extend. And I think at this point, Schmoopie's going to have to do something because if this board goes uncontested, he's going to get domed for 9. It's going to take him down to 6, and that's just not acceptable.
I see.
Wow.
he's leaning hard into the.
Wow.
I don't know. I think that's a very brave play. Maybe Schmoopie's thinking that, like, at this point on the back foot, I have to go for bust here. And
will
perhaps
say-
DoctorBOMD is leaning in too with the other school teacher, but there's a lot of reload there, and now we're at 6, as I said, and
But so on
that's pretty low.
on 6 mana, he can play both. No, yeah, he can play both I-Beams if he does I-Beam, Acrobatics, the Fellscream Blast, and then it'll reduce the other I-Beam down to 1 because it'll be outcast.
Well, here comes the heal. So we're at 9. There's Moarg,
Okay.
so maybe we heal a little bit more.
Hunter can do an awful lot from
Yeah,
hand, though, and this Trampling Rhino is, I have to
Rhino
imagine,
hero power is kind of spooky.
even if it it just goes into the 2/2, and even if it dies, it's still going to push a bunch of damage.
Yeah.
Dr. Bomb knows that Demon Hunter has healing potential, so it's perhaps not something that he would want to invite going all in with, but there's a lot of answers in Dr. Bomb's hands since he's been layering his threats. Here comes the Rhino, as we talked about, going into the Naga, dealing the Murloc rather, dealing the damage, putting Schmoopie back down to a very precarious life total of 6. I think he needs to gain some life again.
I think he really needs to. I mean, you're not.
Oh, that's 3 damage he couldn't afford to take. But with the Moarg, we'll get some healing here.
Quite a bit.
And the spell damage. Very nice.
And the Outcast. Wow. Okay.
Alright, so that's 8. And 8. We're back up to 19, so Schmoopie had a
Reno
plan.
Jackson.
The comeback kid over here. All right.
And the dome for 10. All of a sudden, this is looking like we got a game on our hands.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Oh, and the
Hoisted
Moarg.
by the Moarg petard. You know. Clean quick shot into the 10-6. Looking good. So Schmoopie's gonna, or rather Dr. Bomb's gonna build his board back, and this is where we might have an opportunity to play that Chaos Nova for a clean clear.
I think so. Oh, look at Dr. Bomb hovering over that Call of the Wild too, and I think that is.
Oh, yep. I don't know. I would have cleared, but.
Oh, you
going
know
off
what?
phase.
Magtheridon into Magtheridon for 1 into the Chaos Nova will. He's no mana. He's got no mana. Yeah.
So okay, this is fine. Still got the clear. We're okay. Call of the Wild's gonna be spooky, but it's only gonna dome him for 5.
Yeah.
So Naga, Call of the Wild. There it is, as predicted.
Oh, I forgot.
Why twice? What did I miss? Why did Call of the Wild cast twice? I'm missing something obvious, clearly.
I don't
Hold on.
know.
I'm actually confused as well.
Chat? I mean, he's still gonna clear with the Chaos Nova.
Oh, was it the?
The Naga that says the next spell.
Oh, the next
twice.
battle cry twice. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, there you go. Maybe I should learn the cards a little bit better.
We were all surprised.
You know what? Nobody knew.
Thank you,
This never
Stas.
happens. This never happens on ladder. All right.
Thank you, Stas.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I was dumbfounded. This is a yikes. We're at 3. I don't see much healing options.
He's got the Fell Scream Blast and the Og Merchants, but
does the Fell Scream Blast target face?
No, I don't believe it does. Minion and its neighbors.
I mean, it's lethal with the Naga net and I think that targets face and the hero power.
The Naga net says an enemy. So yeah, I think that is gonna be it.
And an impressive set by Dr. Bomb.
Wow.
Learning the value and power of his cards to get that double Call of the Wild backbreaking.
Wow, that was something else, and none of us saw it coming. Wow.
No.
Wow. All right, well, we have DoctorBOMD here then taking decisive victory in the week 1 match against SchmoopieDaddy.
Impressive.
I want to call out Schmoopie, though. Still had some really well-built decks as well.
Oh, absolutely.
The building quality decks for this competition is more than half the battle, and it's tricky. That one season I participated, I really struggled, and I want to give Schmoopie some props for building some fine decks.
I'm reaching out real quick just to see if either of them are willing or interested in joining us briefly to chat about their decks.
Yellow.
Hey.
Hello, hello. All right, looks like we've got both of them with us now. Hey, gentlemen, congratulations. Thank you. First off, thank you for letting us stream your matches. GG's to both. And DoctorBOMD, congratulations. It's a very decisive victory over here. But
yeah, it was a lot closer than it looked. I was really worried about getting that hunter through, and I think I got lucky that last game.
We were scratching our heads trying to figure out how Call of the Wild played twice, and that was something that none of us saw coming. Pretty
that
incredible.
actually planned ahead, but then I thought that I threw it because the Noggling used to cast twice and eat the buff, but now it doesn't do either. But also, I didn't realize, I forgot about the artificer that was going to double the damage.
Yes.
So that whole sequence of turns, I felt like I was throwing the game, but somehow I still got myself a double Call of the Wild. But yeah, I remember saying to Sheep earlier in the week, I was like, oh, that's an interaction that I should go for.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing interaction that I've definitely overlooked.
Well,
I think Schmoopie's muted.
Schmoopie, you're muted if you want to chat. One of the interesting things about this season, or I should say about this series in general, is that we end up seeing a lot of different card interactions that we wouldn't normally see. Because a lot of these cards don't see play outside of a really specific constructed format, and it's fun. We were sitting every time someone played the Poisonous Murloc, we're over here laughing because the noise that it makes is so funny.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's not funny if you play Arena. They want to ban that.
Oh, that card in the Gangplank Diver is so toxic in Arena.
Giga toxic. I was trying to say before I realized I was muted. I was looking at the hunter list and I'm like, oh my god, it's all built around double Call of the Wild for 12 damage. I can't be 12 or below and risk this. So I was kind of aggressive in my healing. Maxie's going to call me a noob because I screwed up his deck. But that was my issue that last game. Was I think I had to use, Doc did a great job of applying pressure, and I had to use too much healing to kind of keep myself in the game as opposed to OTK. I came close, but I couldn't quite get there.
Yeah, I'm wondering how close you were. That's one thing I realized kind of through the week was that this deck is really much more limited in damage output than what the standard version was, because you're missing the Arcanist and you're missing the Artificers. You just can't get more of them.
I think I needed. I had one more plus spell damage. My bottom two was one of the Moargs. So like if I had the Moarg, I had the 1 mana Il'gynoth, I had the 1 mana Magtheridon to print a board for me. I had 1 mana for the lifesteal spell. So like I think I had my +1 lethal if I topped at the Moarg, but I didn't top deck the Moarg. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I lose. Which is all right.
I mean, digging for, you got to play to your outs, and I think you did that. Digging for some specific combos, but it was, I think well played by both of you. And if you watch the replays back later, we're like, what are they doing? Oh wow, okay, they got it. And
I had no idea what it was. The Warrior game too. I was just throwing stuff out. I'd play and then I'd be like, wait, what did I? Like, I had from the depth, then I flopped and
It's great.
Any thoughts on the deck building? I'm always curious to kind of see how this goes. Let me ask you first, DoctorBOMD. Like, you're preparing your lineup over here. Like, any thoughts, or how did you come up with your decks?
Well, I looked. I saw that Maxie played. I opened his list,
You dirty net decker.
No, the hunter was mine. The warlock. Actually, it was funny. Sheep and I were talking, and I made a zoo lock with demons, with old school stuff like Imp Gain Boss and Dark Shard Councilman and all that stuff that I played in 2018 or whatever it was, 2016. And he was like, "Oh, I made one with Murlocs," and I looked, and then I built it with Murlocs, and he built his with demons. And we chat the next day. He was like, I swapped to Murlocs from demons. He's like, I swapped to demons from Murlocs.
Yeah, that's funny. I actually think a couple things. Number one, that Imprison Scrap Imp is surprisingly strong with a deck full of Murlocs or demons or whatever in this type of format. So it seemed like a good ban from Schmoopie.
That card got nerfed really quickly when it was in standard, when it was the +2/+2.
Yeah.
So the other thing I did was I looked at, I looked at what classes have dormant minions that don't suck. Because dormant minions suck. And then I looked at what nerf reversions there were. And who was I playing? I forget who I was playing earlier. Greeny, I think is his BattleNet. He kicked my butt with Scavenger's Ingenuity and did that porcupine thing that shoots needles. Scavenger's Ingenuity is actually really good again.
Really, really good.
Although I drew 2 amalgams off it and didn't play them, but that's fine. So that's kind of what I looked for. And then, I was like, Liver and Paladin, that's a good deck.
Yeah.
I made a couple card changes. I didn't totally net deck Maxi, but I came pretty close. And then the Warrior deck, I built one, and his was better. So I made 1 or 2 card changes, I think.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, no, I know. That's fine.
It's some really actually some fun combos here, and we were watching and it was like, hey, is Doc gonna do you could do Phelan into Finley, you can do From the Depths into Finley. Watching you play the Bran into School Teacher was really good, and just a lot of combos here.
Oh yeah, my plan the whole time was to generate a Lich King. So that was my way to generate a Lich King.
The 2 cards that you got off, the Lich King and Schmoopie, the other one was the Light Shower Elemental. It was like, oof. Between the taunt and the health, it was just
Oh, I didn't even see the Light Shower Elemental. I'm glad I didn't see the other Light Shower Elemental. I was worried he was outvaluing me that game, but the problem was I didn't find Chum Bucket, and I didn't find any of my hand buffs for the Murloc. I'm trying to say Murloc. It really is Murloc Warlock. I really do believe in that deck, and what was kind of weird about having sort of designed this challenge was the Dormant cards basically put a handbrake on full speed wild decks.
Yep.
So I was very comfortable with the Murloc coming in, because I'd already won with it in THL in midweek. So I knew that burst from hand, as long as I got my Bluegills buffed, as long as I got my Murkai buffed, I could kill from hand.
There's definitely
never won testing, but it just got out tempoed so badly eventually, and couldn't get any traction.
Well, speaking of that, I think it's a good segue. I wanted to ask you about your process for deck building as well. And you're kind of talking through your Murloc Warlock over here, and meow, hello cat.
Rory.
But there's some stuff here. What was your thought process when you were building these decks?
Sure. So the Murloc Warlock is pretty much like my full speed list, but you had to insert dormant cards. So I cut some of the low power dormant cards, and I knew we played for board a little more, so I added the Twin Fin. But I kept all the Chargers because I usually like burn for hand.
Mm-hmm.
So that felt pretty good. The Totem Doomhammer Shaman was kind of a weird amalgamation of, I was like, all right, so I'm looking at the cards from the sets that were chosen. That again, I sort of chose because I was like, all right, so some of these are on flavor, right? Some of these are Darkmoon Faire and Old Gods. These are on flavor. We chose Sunken City because it's new stuff. We chose Core and Legacy because it's like, all right, some people have limited collections. This is the cards they have. So you actually had a lot of options as far as what you could include.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the themes that I noticed for Shaman was totems just was sort of a thread in throughout. So I was like, all right, so I'll build a Totem Shaman, but it's going to need some pop at the end, a little bit of board presence is going to do enough. So then I was like, oh, okay, so I'll just add a Doomhammer package. And the Doomhammer package should be enough to add some pop. And that usually was enough in testing. Against Bomb, I had to use too many of the tools. I think I had to use my Lightning Strike as removal.
Well, and you kept getting...
Era died.
Yeah, there was a handful of times where you had amassed a pretty large board, and we weren't familiar with some of the cards. The new one in particular, the Anchored Totem, had a lot of synergy, and it was like, whoa, that's a large...
Anchored Totem plus Schooling is a beating.
Yeah,
it was... Schooling in general, I think, is a good card. That's just sort of like, oh, it's an arena card. It's tossed under the rug. But you got some people like Mediocre and King Ogre on Hearthstone, who are trying to build around it, just because it's kind of crazy. It's good in Evolved Shaman too, because you can kind of fill your hand quickly and drop a Knoll on 2, and then evolve it, and all of a sudden you got a giant turn 2.
Wow, yeah.
So, like,
I think the deck is... Yeah, it's fun. It was fun, and I think it was really strong. Also, part of it was just the order that they were played, and Doc had removal for days, sitting on, two brawls, and
2 Blade Flurries. I was counting.
And so, but I mean, I just want to say to both of you, like, great matches, great deck building. Like, it was a lot of fun, and we really enjoy this, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to cast these matches as well. So I appreciate y'all for volunteering.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to be on. Thanks for casting them.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll share this on it'll be up on YouTube tomorrow if you guys want to watch the replay. We have caster vision, and so it's kind of fun to see what's in everybody's hand and like, what are they gonna do? Oh, they didn't do it. Or you guys
can laugh at us when we were all like surprise Pikachu when we had the double call of the wild. We're like, what's going on, chat? What's going on?
We thought it was like a glitch or something.
if you
don't sleep on Twinbow, man, don't sleep on Twinbow. You pair that thing up with Twin Shot. That thing nets you in 4 damage and 2 extra back end spells. Like, that thing has some reach to it. That's the thing. The achievements teach you some really crazy cards.
When you play it, you get this little like aura that bubbles around your hero portrait, and that's what I thought I had used it initially. I looked and it was still there, so I knew it was going to pop off. But yeah, that card is good. There was actually, before they changed it so that when it first came out, you could use a Noggling and it would double cast a spell, but it wouldn't use up the charge from the whatever it's called, Terror Coil. So you could discover like a quick shot or something and go brand Noggling, and it would shoot it like 4 times.
Oh my god!
And then you could play your spell, and it would still double the spell. You could do like 30 from hand.
Gross.
Yeah, so that was what they fixed that. I guess.
No, I'm glad they fixed that.
Yeah.
Well, listen, week one's always brutal, just because, like, I guess we got it matched up alphabetically.
It's reverse alpha in week 1, yeah, and so it's a little bit of a you kind of get who you get, and then going forward, it's all the matchups are paired based on win rate. Week 1's always interesting too, because unfortunately we get people that sign up and then like forget or whatever. Or people get busy, stuff happens and people drop. But the farther along the series progresses, like the matches get paired really, really well. It's a lot of fun, and people are still kind of learning the ropes. We're answering a lot of questions, and it's always unfortunate, I think, for the folks who build stuff and then the opponent doesn't show up, and it's like, oh, bummer, I didn't get to.
That's the worst. That's the worst feeling, because you put all this effort into building something and you don't get to use it.
Yeah, and there's not a good method for us because the timeline is so tight. Like we have heard suggestions from time to time on like, oh, it'd be really cool if the people whose opponents didn't show up could play each other. It's really difficult logistically for us, but I think we're still we're open to it, and that's something that we can look at behind the scenes. But
can I just say, because I'm part of the 03 crew, I'm still in. Like, I can still make playoffs.
Well, and that's absolutely, and that's the beauty of this system. And so we didn't talk about it in the in the introduction here, but the way that the scoring works is like it's all cumulative, and you get points for each win. And so, like, you lose a week, even if it's a sweep, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you're out. And that's the fun of it, is like, you still have a good chance. And we have people who have gone to the finals. We have people who won, who have lost 1, 2, 3 weeks, and it just depends. And I don't know. I mean, I had my match this week, and the final score, like, I ended up winning, but it was 3-2. And it's like, hey, that's really good for, you know, both people, because even if you lose, like, you know, you're still amassing those points. You know, either way, I love that, like, you know, a loss doesn't boot you. There's still plenty of chances.
And it shouldn't. I hope people stick around and stick in, even if they did get swept this week, because, like, I mean, I'm expecting week 5 to be battling to get in the playoffs, because I think that's definitely in reach, even though I got swept this week. So.
Yeah. You'll still go far. You'll still go far, my friend. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for us. But Blue Train or Hydra, any final questions?
No, none from me. This was an awesome experience. Had a good time.
Very cool. Hydra, did I lose you? Are you still here?
Maybe Hydra's internet went out again. I don't see.
Oh, yeah, it's having some issues. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much again for letting us stream your matches. I really appreciate it. And GG's by both of you. Congrats, Dr. Bomb, on the win and the sweep. And thank you again also for taking the time out to chat with us afterwards. It's really, it's a great time, and appreciate you both.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was fun, boys. Thanks for hanging.
Absolutely. Hey, final thing. Hey, Schmoopie, any shout outs or anything that you want to say before we call it a night here?
Sure. Let's celebrate Shroompi Mommy getting 1K Rogue wins today. Less than a year after having picked up the game.
Absolutely.
Just taking scalps. That's my pirate queen.
I love it. I love it. Well, yeah, GG's to her. Again, congrats. I think is probably the one of the scariest, best Hearthstone players that we've ever encountered, who picked up the game so incredibly quickly, and hit legend. I think well before any of us could have. I think within like a month of playing, it was just insanely fast. She's incredible. So, GG's to Schmoopie Mommy. DoctorBOMD, any final shout outs or words of wisdom that you'd like to share with us before we call it a night?
I definitely can't top that. I'll just say congrats to Sheep for his 10-year anniversary. I know he's not here tonight because of that, and yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. Big congrats to our good friend Sheep.
Everybody's wife. Mine included.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it.
I can't get her to pick up Hearthstone, but that's okay.
me neither. You know what my wife calls Hearthstone? The shaman game, because I used to play a lot of shaman, and we used to live in a 1-bedroom apartment, so I'd always be like, cussing or yelling at the screen. I'd be playing shaman. She'd be like, "Oh, he's on that shaman game again." It's when he gets unhappy.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. If Hydra was here, he would say he's yelling, and his wife says, "Oh no, did you draw patches again?" Oh dear. Well, thank you both again very much, and I'm sure we'll see you around. And thank you all for watching. Hope to see you all back next week.
Cheers, Nate.
Job's done.